You no longer need to know coding to build a good looking website. Web development has been one of the most high paying freelance career options since a very long time. But I also know that learning how to code and design is very time consuming. So in today's video, I will be teaching you the basics of a no code platform that has ready to use website templates. And most importantly, I will be sharing a step-by-step roadmap that you can use to kickstart your web development career, along with techniques that you can use to get more clients. I will share websites where you can get more work, along with pricing that you can target as a beginner web developer. This is going to be a very detailed video, so make sure you watch it till the end. So without wasting any further time, let's get started. Now, before we move ahead, there are three very important reminders that you need to be mindful about when you start your web development freelance career. Number one, to actually make a good living as a freelancer in this field, you need to make sure that you dedicate ample amount of time learning the skill and also growing a network. Most freelancers that I know get their clients not from some freelancing website, but from word of mouth and referrals. So once you start getting your clients, please make sure that you either ask them for another service or another job, or ask them to recommend you to somebody else. Number two, this video has a proper roadmap, a pricing guide, and a list of websites where you can take inspiration from as a designer, along with a ton of websites where you can go and get your freelance clients. But none of these resources will work unless you truly document your learnings and have enough proof of work. To make this entire video extremely up to date, I actually went ahead and had a proper conversation with professional web developers who've made good amount of money as a freelancer, and I've showed them the entire script that I'm going to say in front of you to make sure that every single advice that I share to you is very practical. And the third point is that this video is just the start. My responsibility in this 2024 roadmap is to tell you how do you approach this subject, what all are the websites, how do you use a basic tool like Hostinger and actually start your career. But it is your responsibility to make sure that you dig deeper once you finish this entire video. Now let's start with the step-by-step roadmap. Before you enter the field of development, you need to ask yourself, what niche am I trying to enter? See, when it comes to websites, there are so many categories of websites. You can have a website that's a portfolio, or a website that sells courses, or websites that actually sell a product. You need to pick a niche that you are comfortable with and are actually interested in. In so many cases, students get confused between landing pages and web-based products, which means that if you use a tool like Notion is actually a product that is opened on Google Chrome. It is actually a web app. But when you go to notion.so, that is their marketing landing page. When you go to apple.com or when you go to anshmera.com, that is a single landing page that has a single flow. It's not a product. Facebook.com, once you enter Facebook.com, the product that you see, that is a web product, which is a completely different field altogether. So as a web designer, this distinction needs to be clear in your head. Moreover, within a landing page, you can have portfolios, you can have a website that sells something, or a webinar, or a course landing page. So there are multiple niches that you can have. Now, if you want to educate yourself about these niches, of course, Google Bard is there, ChatGPT is there, but I would recommend you to start with something very simple. For example, a landing page that can sell courses or webinars, because the demand for these categories of landing pages is really high. Step number two, while you're going through this web development journey, you need to build your design intuition. You need to practice breaking down successful website designs. Here is a mega list of websites that you can use to take web design inspiration from. I will paste all the links in description. You need to make sure that you are learning from their color schemes, their visual design and copywriting, because all of these lessons will help you once you start using a no-code builder. Step number three would be that as you grow your design intuition, as you finalize the niche that you want to work in, you need to actually start learning the tool that will help you build your first website. Today, I will be giving you a tutorial on Hostinger, which is a no-code website builder, which means that they have ready-to-use templates that you can import and then edit them according to your client's needs. And they also allow you to buy a domain. So you get the domain, you get the template, you put them together, and then you sell them as a web developer freelancer. This video is sponsored by Hostinger, but I will still make sure that I give you a clear picture of the amount of work you need to put in this, where exactly do you need to learn, all the proper techniques and roadmaps that you need to know to get started this year as a web developer. Now there are 3 more steps in this roadmap, but before we cover those, let me show you how do you even use Hostinger to build your own no-code website. So let's get started. Alright, so I have already created my account on Hostinger and I've purchased their premium plan. Once you purchase, you will go to hpanel.hostinger.com, and when it comes to pricing, this is how their pricing looks like. So if you get it for a single month, it costs you around 600 rupees per month, but if you get it for 12 months, it comes out to be 239 rupees per month. Now, once you get this, you have the website builder, their AI features, everything is sorted in one single go. Now, once you have the account, if I click on home, I will see the hosting plan that I have. So I have the premium web hosting plan already. And if I go on manage, it will take me to the websites column. Now I can click on create or migrate a new website and then select a hosting plan. I have bought the premium web hosting plan, so I will select that. And once I do that, I'll click on start now and it will ask me if I have to create a new website or migrate my website. Migrate means that I already have an existing website and I want to put that into Hostinger, but I don't want to do that. So I can create a new website. Then it is asking me to either choose the AI builder or choose the WordPress platform. It is better that I can choose the AI builder because life is just easy in general. Now it asks you to either buy a domain or use an existing domain. If you're a beginner, for now you can just choose a domain later. You can always buy a domain from Hostinger and connect them. If you already have a domain and you know how to do the connections, you can start here. But for now, let's just understand how Hostinger works. So I'll just click on choose a domain later. It loads up, redirecting me to the website builder. And once done, it will now come up with this blue menu where it says, welcome to AI website builder. Let AI create your website in minutes, start creating. Because we are learning the fundamentals, I will not use this shortcut just so quickly. There's an option at the bottom that says use pre-made templates, because I really want you to understand how this entire builder works, right? Because once you know how it works, then you can always use AI to, sort of have these things done faster. But the crazy part here is that now they have like tons of different templates that you can use from, and they have these categories right here. So if I click on popular templates, you'd realize that they have these really cool and clean templates. Now let's just say that I like a specific template, right? Maybe I like this one. So I can either start building or preview this. So once I click on preview, it'll open up the website. So this is how the template looks like. And you can see that all the animations are sorted. It's mostly for a real estate website, right? So it can also show you how this would look on a tablet, how this would look on the phone. It has a hamburger menu. So all of these interactions are available. Now, once you've liked this entire thing, you can click on start building, and then this entire template would become editable for you. So now I will teach you how do you even customize this according to your own use case. Now I know for the first time when you would see this interface, you would always feel, slightly worried, but let's break down this entire UI one by one. Alright, so I've shifted my face so you can see this entire menu on the left side. Let me close this for a while. By default, you will see the entire website, okay, which is pretty straightforward. On the top left corner, you have this hamburger menu where you can either go back to your website, go to the website manager, or the store manager. Let's explore these options later. This panel right here is the most important panel. Once you do that, this is where your website builder comes up. Now they have a site setup checklist, which is like a very important checklist that you need to take care of. These things are pretty simple to understand. What you need to know about are the elements right here. Everything you see on your website is first split into sections. This is a section, this is a section. The topmost panel is called a header. So technically even header is a section, but because header is always stuck on the very top, it has its own dedicated name. Now let's just say this is my hero section. This can be my offering section. If I want to add anything in the middle, I can click on add section right here. Now this is where you save hours of time, because now they have a couple of sections described by their category. So let's just say that I want maybe a gallery. Right? Once I click on gallery, they have all of these crazy cool sections. If you click on images, you have an image gallery. If you want to have a slideshow, you can have that as well. You also have testimonials. So let's just say that because this is the start of the website, maybe I want a really good testimonial. So I can click on this one and keep this thing right here. Now, if I double click again, I would enter the edit mode of it. So this is very, very similar to any documentation editing tool, right? You can select this entire text. You can either change the color, you can either change the heading. Now, the crazy part about this is that instead of going through all of these font sizes, they already have these templates ready, right? So you have H4, H5, and then this helps you keep things uniform. So if you say that all of my testimonials are H5, then throughout the website, you can use H5 and you don't have to specifically remember that, oh, H5 is at 24 pixels, right? You can go through and change the fonts. You have the font size, all of these editing options. Overall, it's like a pretty simple thing, right? Now, if I click on AI Writer, you can also use their AI Writer to put in content. So as a web developer, you don't have to worry about putting things on your own. And of course, you have to put in a really good prompt. The better it is, the more context you add, the better it would be. Now for any specific layer, I can duplicate it and it would add it right here. And if I want to move, I can move these things up and down just like this. So they have a grid that sort of allows you to put things in a very, very easy manner. So you see these lines right here. When I drag, they have these small rectangles. It is always recommended that you put them right here. Okay, you have to make sure that they're not sort of in the middle. They're always sort of getting tied up to the columns and grids. It's just a very good practice and things would stay stable. Now, if I want to delete, let me put this right here. Now, if I want to see how this would look on my phone, all I need to do is click on this icon right here and I can quickly switch between responsive layouts. So this is absolutely amazing because imagine you're now designing for both the devices. Now, the interesting part here is that maybe let's just say that on my desktop view, I want this to look in a specific way. But when it comes to mobile, I want this what we offer to be centrally aligned. So I can take this and then reduce the font size to maybe 18 and then centrally align this. When that happens, the interesting part here is that when I go to web, things don't change. On web, it is still left aligned. But when I go to my mobile section, it is still centrally aligned. So changes are inherited top to bottom. If I make a change on the desktop, it will trickle down to my mobile phone. But if I'm making a change on my mobile phone, it will not go up in the hierarchy, right? Now, of course, there are so many interesting things to do here, right? Once you add a specific section, let's just say I add another section where you have this image. I can go to my add element and then take a button and simply drag it, drop it here. Now I can take this button and then put them right here and then click on edit button, change the button text, add any URL, and then also make the style different. So I can of course change the fill color. So I can probably make this, let's just say blue, and I can change the text size. Everything is like without code. It is all almost like editing an image, right? And then when it comes to the hover state, I can also change the hover state to maybe red, right? So once I do that, if I hover on top of it, you can see that the changes are getting reflected very, very easily. And if you want to move something, of course, it's as simple as just, dragging things together. It's super, super simple, right? Like there's not much complication to it. When it comes to images, you can select any of these images, click on edit image and either replace it. You can go to your style and you can add a corner radii. If you go to action, you can actually have links, right? So it can either open a preview or it can open a link. They already have these ready-made shapes in case you want something way more aesthetic. These are very, very common shapes that a lot of people would spend a lot of time just to making these. And the interesting part here is that they have these animations, right? So it can either slide in, it can either scale, and you can have animations for different elements. So it's just a huge time saver. Now in your elements, you have a lot of these things that you can do. Of course, you have your maps, you have images, but when we come to pages and navigation, this is your entire website. So the thing is, you see this top navigation right here. If I click on About Us, it has a single page, but when I click on Projects, it has sub pages as well. So once I go to my Projects panel, you can see that if somebody clicks on Learn More, they will enter this Sunshine Bay residence. So you can easily navigate through all of these individual pages. Now let's just say that you have a single page and you want to edit this specific page. You can go to this icon and then have all of these settings one by one. Now I will not go into the depths of everything because this video is just to sort of help you understand understand the UI and understand all of the features, once you know that, okay, these are the things that I want to learn, this is the kind of features that they have, then you can always refer Hostinger's documentation. Now, if I go to say settings for this specific page, the interesting part is that you can easily change the name and navigation, which is the text right here. You can change the URL. You can also change the social image. So this is the image that you get when you paste this URL on your social media websites or even on WhatsApp, right? So when you share a link on WhatsApp, you remember there's like a rectangular image that you see as a preview. This is that. And if you want to make this page hidden, you can always enable password. So this is really, really useful for freelancers who don't want to show their work openly to everybody else. And you can actually have a lock and you can only share that password with people who you want, to gain access. And of course, if I click on add a new page, you have all of these page templates, whether it's for about section, for contact, for your services, for your projects. And if I select any of these pages, right, you have the projects panel right here. I can drag it and put it within contact, and you can see that right here, the contact already has a sub menu. And of course, if I want to delete this, I can simply delete it. And it's just like so seamless. So it's super easy to give structure to really understand all of your pages one by one. Now, when it comes to customization, let's just say that your client has his own logo, his own color schemes. For that, you can check out website styles, where you can actually change colors universally. Now, let me explain you what that means. Let's just say that they have a specific color that they're using in multiple places, right? You can change this color in one single spot and it will be reflected everywhere the same hex code is being used. Now, of course, I would not hamper with these colors. It's best that you don't change a lot of these colors. But when it comes to the header, right, just the fact that they have a specific logo, this has to be changed, right? So no matter what you do, you need to make sure that these assets are sorted. Now, if you want to change the logo, you can go to header, click on edit header, and click on the logo option and then put your PNG right here. So this is super important. You can keep everything similar, but when it comes to the logo, you'd have to put your own client's logo. Now, coming back to website styles, if I go on text, this is where I can change the font. So let's just say that your client says, no, this is like too serious. Once you change Poppins, everything will reflect to the new font sizes. Now, if I were to go to say something like Grupo or even Nunito Saw, you'd realize that some things look slightly off, right? Like now suddenly this looks very different. So it is recommended that if you don't change the fonts and things are doing well, then it's absolutely okay. But if you want to make something very specific, then things might need some shifting, right? Because obviously at the very end, every font size has its own settings. So if I were to change this into Playfair, I need to make sure that I edit this accordingly and sort of shift these things together. But in most cases, I can undo and get to where I was at the start. And I personally love the font sizes that they had by default. So I'll quickly go back to what we had in the beginning because I feel like these were looking really good. Once your text is done, you can also choose the style of your buttons. So they allow you to customize both the primary and the secondary button. So if I choose this one, it will have a pill shaped button. If I choose this one, then it'll have like a rectangular shaped button. So for example, if I select this option right here, even this button is then customized, right? So in just one single place, you can have the entire thing sorted. Like it's super useful. Now, when it comes to animations, you can have like a simple fade animation for all the folds. You can have a scale animation. You can have a slide animation. You can have animations for individual components as well. So it's super useful, to just edit your things. Now, once you have sort of finalized all of these things, it auto saves. Of course, everything is happening on cloud. And if you haven't connected your domain, by default, it'll give you like a sample domain. And if you click on preview, it will quickly show you how this website will look across web, across mobile. And once you click on go live, it will actually be released on that domain. So now you can actually copy this link and share it to your client. So you can actually view this website, right? And you can share it to your social media, check if the metadata is working or not. And coming back to the editor, once I click on AI tools, it has an inbuilt AI logo maker, inbuilt AI writer, AI blog generator, and this feature right here is the craziest one. So once you have created your entire website, AI will help you understand where will be the attention of your viewer go when he opens your website for the very first time. So at the very bottom, we have a scale which says that this lighter shade means less attention, and as you move towards a warmer scale, It means more attention. Now, this is very, very important for people who are selling webinars and courses, and basically any website needs to direct attention. So right here, AI has generated a heat map of my entire website, and as you can see, if I am purposely deciding to get attention on what we offer, then this is great. But maybe you scroll and realize that, dude, maybe the attention is not going to this image. Maybe a lot of attention is going to latest project. In that way, you can actually reduce the font size of this thing right here. Maybe make it smaller or maybe make it less bolder. Let me double click. And let me make this of 18 pixels. Let me choose the entire thing. Let's make it 18. And now when I run the heat map, you'd realize that, oh, more attention is going to here or here, right? So these things are very, very important. Rather than relying on your customers and relying on your client to give you all this basic feedback, you can obviously use the AI heat map. They also have an inbuilt analytics section. Now, of course, this website is not live, so there's no data to show. But if you go through the Hostinger documentation, you will understand what kind of data that you can get. So you will know what are the sessions that you had. So session is basically how many people open the website and how much time they spent. Right? You have unique visitors, you have sessions by country, you have sessions by device. And of course, they have a lot of these tips for, driving more traffic to your website. If you go to your SEO, then of course they have a couple of steps that you can follow to improve the SEO of your business or brand. So of course, there are so many things that you can learn. And of course, if you go to the helps and resources tab, if you go to help articles, they have every single thing mentioned in detail, right? So if you click on add new pages, you'd realize that they have a very detailed documentation of how you can build your own website and, in detail understand all of these features one by one. Let's just say you've been uploading a lot of media and you have a lot of logos and visuals and you just want to have like all of these assets in one single place. You can go to website settings and then click on media library. So this is where you will find all of your documents in one single place. So if I were to go here, I can rename them, I can delete them, and it'll also tell you where are the AI images. So basically in this entire website, if I go here, I can click on generate image and use AI to generate images as well if I don't have it, right? So the media library allows you to sort of segregate all of this content in different places. Now, as a beginner, it's super important that while you're editing this website, while you're creating your first website, you actually fulfill this checklist, because this is the bare minimum that you would need to actually release this website. With that, we complete our basics of using Hostinger. I personally feel that it's a very easy tool to use. They have so many templates, so you will save a lot of time. But because this is a detailed roadmap video, it is time that we now understand how do you plan your career ahead. Because while you're learning Hostinger from their documentations and videos, you need to make sure that you have a proper understanding of how do you approach this as a career. How exactly do you price your services? So now we'll go ahead with the second half of the roadmap, where we understand what are the skills you need to learn after this video ends and how exactly do you price yourself in this competitive market. Now, of course, once you spent enough time learning Hostinger, going through the documentations, you still need to upskill yourself, because there are still a lot of steps that you need to finish to actually kickstart your career. And this is where you have to pay a lot of attention. Step number 4 would be to build 3 websites inside Hostinger that are in your niche. So I had recommended you to either pick a niche where you're selling webinars or courses, because those are the easiest to sell. Almost every single content creator is now selling webinars, now selling courses. What you need to learn is how do you create a landing page that has a good copy, course content, webinar contents, and then you tell your creator that, dude, when somebody clicks on this CTA, they will be redirected to your LMS, which is their learning platform. So all LMS have their own payment gateway. So as a beginner, you don't need to worry about the payments and the purchasing. You tell them that I can help you redesign your current landing page, or I can give you one single landing page that you can run ads on. And once your viewer clicks on the button, it can be redirected to your personal checkout page. Now that checkout page could be a Razorpay page or could be from their own LMS. You don't need to worry about this. Now, knowing this distinction is very important, because of course you can have all of these things in your skill sets eventually, but your goal is to make sure that you have 3 websites that look similar to a course selling platform or to a webinar selling website, because nobody will hire you in the beginning, right? You need proof of work to actually show someone that you're really good at what you are trying to sell. The right process is that while you're learning Hostinger, while you're going through inspiration, you need to take problem statements from either Google Bard or ChatGPT and start using your own mind and these AI tools to get layouts, to get copywriting ideas, to get course contents, because you don't have to come up with this, right? You can literally pick any random course and start creating visuals with a tool like either Midjourney or Microsoft Designer or DALL-E 3 and start using those images and start using that copy in your website. If you're subscribed to ChatGPT Plus, you can actually take a screenshot of your website, put it inside ChatGPT and ask for legit feedback. This is something that I have been doing for my own social media. I've been doing this for a lot of my work as well, and it's very, very helpful. In fact, there's also a heat map feature in Hostinger, right? So it allows you to understand where would a person see if that person would come on this landing page. Now, in all honesty, the first two websites that you create would be extremely terrible, and I would strongly recommend you to simply delete them. If you want to keep them, just make sure they are good enough. But I always tell my students that if you're making a website or even if you're making an app, you need to build 3 projects on your own that are unpaid and just delete the first 2 and then maybe make 2 more, because the first 2 websites that you make will be really, really bad and you need that time, you need that growing curve to actually build something impressive. Now folks, when you're following this roadmap, I know that you will get impatient, but the truth is that you need at least 4 to 5 months of practice to do this well, because when you learn Hostinger, when you understand domains, when you understand a lot of other small nuances about visual design and copywriting, you need that time to first understand and actually apply what you've learned. So don't put a lot of pressure on yourself to do everything in a month or 2. It takes at least 4 to 5 months to start as a beginner, another 2 to 3 months to actually have a great portfolio that helps you get clients abroad. Now, I have to tell you this honestly, right? Because I don't want to be one of those creators who will give you a false promise that you can quickly start making money in 3 to 4 months. I am in the field. I've spoken to real web developers who are doing this for a living. So it's my responsibility to give you the real picture. Now, once you have covered the basics of building a website and domain connections, there are specific topics that you need to add in your syllabus. And of course, you can go to YouTube, you can go to Google, but learning these topics are very, very important if you want to go from here to here as a web developer freelancer. Number 1 is understanding SSL certifications. Number 2, understanding the basics of SEO. And number 3, understanding the basics of CMS. Now, I will not go too deep into this because you already have Googlebot and ChatGPT. But now that I've told you, now that I've informed you about these things, it is your responsibility that after the 6th to 7th month, once you've covered the basics, you actually spend time learning these 3 components of your career as well. Step number 5 is to understand where do you get good clients from. As a beginner, I would recommend you to get clients that are at a lower stake, which means that don't go for a really big brand or a really experienced co-founder. Target businesses who are young like you. Target businesses who don't have that much expectation, who are not that fancy about animations and copy. They just need like a basic website, right? So their requirements would match with your skill set. Now, I spoke to a lot of Indian web developers and they told me that they actually get legit clients from IndiaMart and Just Dial. They would go to these websites, search for businesses, go to their domains and message their owner that, dude, you have posted about your business on IndiaMart and Just Dial and freelancer.com, but your website is really bad and I can help you improve that website. And I personally feel that that's a very smart way of getting good clients. Another technique that one of these developers shared with me was that he used to go to offline stores in these big marketplaces. So for example, in Delhi, we have Chani Chowk, we have Sarojini Nagar, and all of these places have official, businesses that have been running for 15 to 20 years, offline businesses that have a lot of revenue. And if you go and pitch them that I can make a website for you, like a single landing page website for you at just 15 to 20,000 rupees, they would not even think twice. And it's a very good way because these offline businesses have a lot of FOMO. So they are inherently very excited to actually come online and get a website made. And folks, I'll tell you this very honestly. Most people will ask you to chase really fancy businesses. The truth is, you need to pick boring problems. Pick boring problems for offline businesses and trust me, you will have ample amount of work and enough freelance income. Now, as a beginner, you will always have this excitement of making money and, just selling a website to somebody for 50,000, 60,000. Don't do that. I'm telling you folks, I have been through this journey. I have seen many freelancers make terrible mistakes. I always made sure that at the start of my career, I always go for experience, testimonials, referrals, and validation of my work, and not a lot of money. Which means that even if I had an opportunity to sell a website for 30,000 rupees, I would eventually sell it for 15,000 rupees just to make sure that the stakes are low and I have a room for making mistakes. I have a buffer for making mistakes. And because that person would be extremely happy with the value I give to that person, by the end of the contract, I would ask that person to refer me to somebody else. And as I said at the beginning of the video, that in this freelance world, referrals and word of mouth play a huge role. So instead of asking for a lot of money as a beginner, please make sure that you first seek validation of your work, understand how good you are as a web developer, and then at the very end, if you feel you've done a really good job, ask for your client for a referral. Trust me, it compounds really well in a span of 2 to 3 years. Step number 6 is to have a list of items you need to learn at the end of your learning session. So basically, as a beginner, you will be able to make like basic websites, like single page websites. But if you want to make really good money, which means that if you want to crack a client based out of US or UK and you want to make 1.5 lakhs or 2 lakh rupees per websites, then you have to take your skills to the next level. Now the question is, how do you take your skills to the next level and what are the topics that you need to learn? Now I got a very good list from my web developer friends and they have validated this list. So I know that this will really help you. Of course, I gave you some brief of this in step number 4, but when it comes to step number 6, this is where you can actually take things to the next level. The most important skill in this list is understanding payment gateways, which means that initially you would be making landing pages that just sell a product and you would click on the CT and it would directly go to a page where the payment gateway is already being handled. But at one point, the bigger clients will expect you to set up the CMS, they will expect you to set up the payment gateways, their account information with the website, they will expect you to set up all the forms with all the different edge cases. So that is something that you really need to know. You will also need to understand the basics of cloud hosting. Now, Hostinger themselves give you a lot of cloud hosting options and you can go through their documentation to understand how do you host all of this data, whether it's media, whether it's downloadable content on the cloud, so that anybody can come to your client's website and download that material. And of course, folks, as I keep recommending this again and again, that most of the freelancer friends I know don't have 10x or 20x income simply because of their skill sets, but also because of their ability to communicate really clearly, their ability to negotiate very clearly. And these are the skills that will really take you from here to here. Now, of course, we made a dedicated playlist which is called Improve Your Life, where I teach all of these skills. We've also made a video that can help you improve your communication skills, because even if you work super hard and follow every single thing I've recommended in this roadmap video, if you're bad at communicating, if you don't have enough confidence, then the opposite client will sense that. And once they sense that, they will not pay you what you deserve. So you need to make sure that while you're on this journey of becoming a web developer freelancer, you are extremely confident, you're extremely smooth in what you're saying, you understand the basics of design, you understand the basics of negotiations, and you are regularly improving the way you pitch your services online. Now, I know that a lot of you would be asking that, Ansh, apart from Hostinger, apart from UI design, are there any specific topics that we can learn? Because a lot of you would already be in a web development career and you would be feeling that, what do we learn next? Right? So I again got a list of 6 to 7 topics that my web developer friends shared with me. They personally told me that, Ansh, your video, your roadmap is going to be incomplete unless you specifically declare all of these differences and declare all of these pointers. Now, I know that this video has a lot of information, right? But that is the point. Like, it's very important that if you're watching a 2024 roadmap video, all of these things are declared very clearly and you know what to search for, because you don't need me to teach you all of these things, right? You just need direction. For a sincere student, it is all about direction. When I was learning design, nobody taught me design, but I really needed to know what to learn. Once you know what to learn, then a sincere student will figure out his or her own way to sort of, navigate the chart forward. So here is the list. Number 1, you need to understand how to manage client-side feedback. So what happens is that as a beginner web developer, when you get a client, you don't understand how do you coordinate feedback. So I'll tell you how to do this, right? Number one, you can either create a WhatsApp group with your clients so that coordination is easy, because email is really, really bad. Or if you really want to scale, you will eventually have to learn this tool called Slack. Slack is what I use. Slack is what so many other freelancers use, that allow you to track feedback, to actually communicate with your clients really, really easily. The downside with Slack is that a lot of clients don't know how to use Slack. So if you feel that your client is not very tech savvy, then you can obviously stick to WhatsApp. Topic number 2, you need to understand both technical SEO and the marketing SEO. Now, I know that the word technical SEO doesn't make sense, but the point is that once you start using custom code, whether it's in a no-code platform or even in your own personal website, you need to maintain proper hygiene. When I say hygiene, it basically means that your code should be easy to read, your code should be easy to understand. So this is for folks who are slightly in the advanced level, people who use custom code, people who are using JavaScript and CSS and HTML, because in bigger companies, when you get bigger clients, there are multiple web developers working on the same project. When that happens, you need to make sure that your code is easy to read. On the contrary, you need to understand basics of SEO as well, which means that when you make a website, you need to make sure that you have a preview image uploaded, right? You need to make sure that the metadata is sorted, the titles are sorted, the fav icon is there. So these small things really, really matter a lot. Point number 3, you need to understand how compression works. So the thing is that when you have a website with a lot of images, with a lot of video, with a lot of content in general, if you don't know how compression works, if you don't know the importance of compression, then your website load times will be really, really high. And even though your client might not know what is the problem, you might not know what is the problem, the website will not just do well, right? And you want the website to load easily on a mobile phone. So for video, there's a tool called Handbrake that can easily compress videos like at a completely amazing level. It's a game-changing tool. I use it for my content. I also use it for my websites as well. And when it comes to image compression, there are so many online compression tools available. That's never an issue. Point number 4, you need to understand that as a beginner, you will be making SPA, which are single page applications, single page landing pages. But eventually the career path of a web developer transitions into a PWA person. PWA means it's a progressive web app. And this is a trend that so many of my web developer freelancers have followed, right? So they would start with basic landing pages, then they would go to complicated landing pages, and they would eventually enter product design, which is actually products that are built for the web. So you go from SPA to PWA. So I'm just mentioning these small things because you need to have some understanding of how this career grows, right? So once you have the roadmap clear, you can pick and choose as to what is compatible with your vision. Now, if you want to understand how this entire transition from SPA to PWA works, there are certain tech stacks that you need to learn about. So you need to know the basics of JavaScript, but within JavaScript, it's important that you read about React.js, Vue.js, and Electron.js. Now, I have personally not worked on these libraries, but these are recommendations from my web developer friends. I just had to make sure that I give you the exact resource that you need to Google. Number 5, you need to understand analytics, because as soon as you make your website live, your client is going to come with you with questions like how many people came, how many people clicked, how many people converted. So you need to learn Google Analytics, or if there's any other analytics tool that you want to have, you can obviously do that as well. You need to make sure that you understand the basics of analytics, all of those words that analytics use, because if you look at the dashboard and if you can't make sense of it, then how will you communicate this with your client? So I know that I've given you so many things, and that is why the 6th point is to make sure that you give yourself time. Because folks, as I keep repeating this again and again, to make a good career, you need to spend at least a year to reach that 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees per month income. And this is the truth, like this is the unfiltered truth. This is the roadmap. This is how it works. And these are the topics that you will have to learn. If you don't learn, you will hit a ceiling, right? So just make sure that you have noted all of these points down. And really thanks to all of my web developer friends who helped me create this video, who helped me collect all of these important, pointers and topics to learn. Now, this video cannot end until unless we discuss pricing, right? Because as I said in the beginning, you're making no-code websites, and of course you will make around 10 to 15K per website. But eventually, how do you price yourself? And if there's a person who has already been doing this for a while, how exactly does the pricing work right now in India? So folks, 6 important things that we need to consider while we discuss the topic of pricing. Number 1, it majorly depends on the client. If you get a client from India, they're going to pay you less. If you get a client based out of the US, of course, they pay you more. But on top of that, the awareness your client has also decides how much you will get paid. So you have your portfolio, you have your skill level, you have your communication, you have your negotiation skills. All of these things, of course, help you make more money. But in the end, it is your client's awareness levels, your client's budget, your client's revenue that will decide how much you get paid. So in number 2, let's just have some figures, right? So I personally feel that as a beginner, if you're making no-code landing pages for courses and webinars, I think anywhere between 15 to 20,000 rupees is good if you're making good designs and good copy. If you feel that your websites are terrible and you're going to like an offline business and even the client doesn't understand design and he's like, dude, I just want a website. Like I literally just want pictures and text and that is more than enough. Then you can't expect more than 10 to 12,000 rupees from a person who's not from the tech background, because for them, you're just a kid. And I would also personally recommend you to just charge 10 to 12,000 rupees for your first 2 to 3 websites. Just simply make it and ship it. Just consider it as experience. But of course, this is without payment gateways. This is without CMS. This is without SEO. I am talking about just a very, very basic template edit with just the domain. And of course, this will not include the domain cost. So domain cost, they have to pay separately. Cloud hosting, they have to pay separately. Platform cost is separate. I am saying 10 to 12,000 rupees is just going to be your cost, the amount of time you spend. And I don't think with a tool like Hostinger, it'll take you more than 2 or 3 days to make this. So I think it's a good amount of money as a beginner. Number 3, you need to always pitch first, then do your homework of the client and then reveal the cost. So this is a tip that one of my web developer friends shared with me, that Ansh, I always go to a client call. I get all the requirements, all the details, and I never quote on the call. I always say, okay, let me get back to you with the cost. So he would cut the call, because when you cut the call, first of all, you're not under pressure. Okay, that person can't sort of put mental pressure on you to have a lower rate. And then you can research the client. You can understand how much money does this person even make on a general basis. And then you send them an email with the cost, with the list of things that you will deliver. Number 4, raise your prices once you can see that you are getting results for your clients, which basically means that let's say you made 3 websites and in all of the 3 websites, you actually helped your client get more revenue, you actually helped your client go online and get more customers. You can take that as proof and then raise your prices, but do not raise your prices unless you're actually getting results for your clients, because the amount of money your client is willing to pay you is actually a reflection of the value you are giving him. So if you are not giving value to your client is not paying you enough. And if you're not able to make more money, it's usually either because you're pitching to the wrong person or you're not increasing the amount of value you're giving to your client. So only raise your prices once you have tangible proof that you're actually improving in what you're doing. Point number 5, I personally feel that if you have a SaaS landing page, if you have a client that has a proper SaaS product, because they have multiple pages and multiple navigations, you can charge anywhere between 25 to 30,000 rupees. Even if it's an Indian client, for a US based client, it can obviously go up to 60 to 70,000 rupees. But of course, this is after a pretty experienced level. I think designing a SaaS landing page requires a lot of experience, at least 9 to 10 months of experience. But yeah, I just wanted to put this figure out there so that you have some tentative idea of what beginners get paid. And when I say beginners, I mean a person who has 1 year of experience. Like a 1 year experienced person is called a beginner when it comes to, SaaS landing page designs. But folks, let me tell you this, that if you get a SaaS landing page freelance client, they will expect you to set up the domain. They will expect you to set up the form generation. They will expect SEO. They will also expect CMS. In a lot of cases, they will ask you to keep track of analytics as well. So don't chase a SaaS landing page client unless you have these basic topics sorted. Number 6, at the very end, this is a very, very important realization that folks, after the 60,000 rupees mark, it is really, really not about how good you are at using the tool, how good you are at sort of connecting things together and your SEO. You get paid for great design. You get paid for amazing animations. You get paid for micro interactions. You get paid for your brand, your credibility, and your word of mouth, right? So if you feel that after 60-70,000, what does it take to go from maybe 5 lakhs to 6 lakhs a month? It's because you will have to be really, really good at design, copywriting, visuals, color schemes, micro interactions. When I mean micro interactions, I basically mean what happens when you hover, what happens when you scroll, how it sort of goes from mobile to tablet. All of these small things really, really matter. And all of my web developer friends said that when they make a lot of money, it is not because they're really good at building a website or they're really good at SEO or all the backend stuff. They get paid because they can make amazing animations and amazing micro interactions and put really good design onto their website. Now I know this was a very long video, and my goal was to make sure I cover every single important insight I receive from my friends. If you have any other doubt, please let me know in the comment section. I apologize if I've said something technically wrong, even though I had all of my web developer friends sort of read the script and put in important points. If you feel that I've said anything incorrect, let me know in the comment section. I would love to learn from you as well. Get an additional 10% off on your annual plan by using the code Ansh Mehra. Visit hostinger.in/Ansh Mehra to get started today. And if you want more such detailed roadmaps, and if this kind of content works for you, let me know below. If you've come till this point in the video, I'm pretty sure you have learned something valuable and you would have some tentative idea whether this kind of content works or not, because even we don't know if our audiences are willing to watch this level of content where there are so many important things, because this roadmap video is like an end-to-end roadmap video. Like a lot of things would be sorted after this. So let us know in the comment section if you want similar roadmaps for the field of design and development and graphic design and video editing. We would love to do something similar. You can try out Hostinger right now by going to the link in description. If you're here for the first time, make sure you click on subscribe and hit the bell icon, because we will be coming up with a lot of cool videos on design, AI and upskilling. With that being said, I hope that you're taking care of your mind and body. This is your dost Ansh Mehra signing out. If you like this video, make sure you click on like and hit the subscribe button. I regularly upload videos on UX design, marketing and storytelling.